President Obama and his top advisors were taking their case for intervention in Syria to Congress Thursday afternoon, holding a series of briefings as lawmakers increasingly voiced skepticism toward any military strike. The president on Thursday afternoon personally briefed House Speaker John Boehner, who a day earlier wrote to the president urging him to provide a clear, unambiguous explanation on how military action would serve U.S. interests. Boehner's spokesman Brennan Buck reiterated those questions after the call. Only the president can answer these questions, and it is clear that further dialogue and consultation with Congress, as well as communication with the American public, will be needed, he said. The White House is planning a major briefing at 6 p.m. ET with key lawmakers. Many of those lawmakers are still in their districts and elsewhere for the summer recess, so most will be dialing in for a conference call. One of the few lawmakers actually in the Capitol is Rep. Mike Rogers, R-Mich, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Over the past 48 hours, dozens of lawmakers have spoken out on the potential for military action in Syria. Rep. Dana R-Mich, R. California, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, called the policy a big step in the wrong direction. Yet the White House is standing by its position that intervention in Syria, in response to an alleged chemical weapons attack last week, would serve U.S. interests. White House spokesman Josh Earnest also rejected the notion that the current situation was in any way similar to the run-up to the Iraq War under the George W. Bush administration. I think that there are some very important differences. What we saw in that circumstance was an administration that was searching high and low to produce evidence to justify a military invasion, an open-ended military invasion of another country, with the final goal being regime change. He said. What we have seen here, tragically, is a preponderance of evidence available in the public domain that the Assad regime used chemical weapons against innocent civilians. And we don't have to search high and low for that evidence. Meanwhile, the administration was facing turbulence among its allies overseas. Britain and France, which helped lead the 2011 mission to impose a no-fly zone in Libya, on Thursday were still in a wait-and-see mode on Syria, as the countries await the results of a United Nations investigation. Unlike with Libya, the UN Security Council has so far not approved any action on Syria. The 5 permanent members reportedly will meet Thursday afternoon to discuss the situation. Some of the fiercest deliberations were unfolding in London, where British Prime Minister David Cameron faced down a skeptical Parliament as he tried to make the case for intervention. He has already backed off his goal of holding a single vote on Thursday, allowing for a second vote possibly next week. Cameron argued that an attack on Syria in response to chemical weapons use would be legal. Met with skepticism in Parliament, though, Cameron submitted for vote a motion that would only authorize military force in principle after UN weapons inspectors report their findings and action is debated on the UN Security Council. Without a UN mandate, Parliament would have to vote one more time to authorize a strike. The delay in London could prevent Obama from taking any action, as his administration has said it will not act unilaterally on Syria. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says inspectors are leaving the country on Saturday, meaning any report from them is not likely until next week at the earliest. In an interview with PBS on Wednesday, Obama bluntly declared that the Syrian government carried out a chemical weapons attack last week. He suggested a shot across the bow for Syria could be in the interest of U.S. national security. Meanwhile, battle lines are being drawn in the international community. After Russia refused to sign on to a Britain-drafted resolution before the UN Security Council on Wednesday, Reuters reports that Russia is sending 2 warships to the Mediterranean Sea, where the U.S. has also positioned ships. A 5th U.S. Navy destroyer was sent into the eastern Mediterranean on Thursday. The Navy has also boosted its presence in the Persian Gulf, adding 1 more aircraft carrier.